Hello, FedPhoenix fam. This is part 2 of prison stuff. I've went through some of my belongings and found some more remnants of my incarceration to share with you. Um, Before I get to that, I want to tell you something really exciting. I got a few actually exciting things. Number one, so as of today, March 28th, 2024, I have been home 364 days from prison. And as you guys know, I didn't have halfway house or home confinement. I maxed out my prison time and came home to straight probation. So as of today, I am off federal probation. I should be getting a letter in the mail here in the next few days, just kind of verifying that. For those of you who find yourself in the same position, there is no like go in, sign paperwork and all that at the end. Like I assume there would be, right? But there's not. I guess they just, when you're off, and they generate a letter. It goes in the mail, and a few days after you're off, you get a letter saying, by the way, to whom it may concern, this person has completed their term of federal probation, thus completing their sentence. So that's exciting. Exciting thing number 2, we are up to 200 and I want to say 62 subscribers. So we're a hair above a quarter of the way to the goal of 1,000 subscribers, which of course then opens the opportunity to become monetized. So I'm super excited about that. I feel like once my book comes out, though, this will kind of blow up. But definitely I would love to hit that point, get up to monetization at 1,000 subscribers before the book comes out. But if I don't, I don't. You know what I mean? But it'd be cool. So if you have not subscribed already and you're not opposed to subscribing, it costs you absolutely nothing. Does me a world of good. Certainly brings a little joy to my day every time another subscriber is added. I would truly appreciate it. So having said all that, let's get into the video. Let's get into prison stuff. This is prison stuff part 2. I already did one video of some of my prison things. So now we're going to get into a second video. And I don't know, if I'm going to come across enough stuff in my stuff for there to be a third video. But, maybe. I don't know. So, this little gem. If you notice, at the very bottom of this is a tag, right? With my name and my inmate number. And I think the unit I was in, yes, the A3, the unit I was in when I first got to prison. So this is significant because commissary did not frequently have umbrellas. And when they did, they sold out really quick. And these umbrellas are super duper cheap, so they break really, really easy. So umbrellas are something that people tend to need to replace pretty frequently. And the handbook says you can only have one in your possession. So it isn't like you can buy 2 when there's an opportunity and have a backup. You can't, because if you do and your locker gets shut down, the guards are going to take one and throw it away. So, and I know you may be thinking, well, if you're in prison, where are you going that you need an umbrella? I'm going to tell you where. The housing complex was on the upper compound, right? So we were on a mountain, literally in the middle of a bunch of mountains. So on the upper compound was your housing units, rec, the yard, HSU, which is medical, the library, a few things. But a lot of stuff we had to go to the lower compound, and we did this on foot. There was no, transport. There was a van, but in order to get a van pass, you had to pretty much be in a wheelchair, seriously requiring a walker, and a lot of times it had to be established before you came to prison, or like really old, like old, like not like me old, but like much, much older. And there were a few health conditions that sometimes would get you a van pass or a bus pass, you know what I mean? But they weren't handed out very, very liberally, and they often were only for a period of time. So we would have to go walk down the back of the compound, the back hill, to get to CDR, which was chow, laundry, the education building, which you might have to go to for all kinds of reasons. Several jobs were down the hill, like the auto mechanic shop. Then all the administrative buildings were down the hill. Commissary was down the hill. And then when you got done down the hill, the warden at the time, and again, it varies warden to warden if this is in place or not. And I don't know if the current one is still doing this, but going down the back hill was a fairly long walk. And it was on an incline, but it wasn't crazy steep. You know what I mean? Going up the hill was a very short walk, and it was a very steep incline. We called it Hallelujah Hill because you get to the top and you're like, hallelujah, I made it, right? So it did not matter if it was pouring rain. It did not matter if it was in the middle of a snowstorm. The weather conditions were very, very much disregarded. And you still being expected to do exactly what you're expected to do when it comes to going down to the lower compound and back up, regardless of weather conditions, regardless if it's day or night, regardless of any of that. So, and they didn't have ponchos. So this was your only protection potentially from the rain. Otherwise, by the time you get to the bottom of the compound, you are soaked through. Your work boots, your feet and your work boots are soaked. And oh well. So having an umbrella was quite an asset. And I don't even know why I brought mine home. There are a lot of things I brought home from prison that I look back and I'm just like, what was I thinking? But it is what it is, right? So another fun thing. Commissary products are generally just like a generic. They're pretty much the equivalent of Dollar Tree. Sometimes they are Dollar Tree brand. And so for this lovely gem that would cost me $1.25 at the Dollar Tree, I paid $8. And it was pretty hard to get. Sunscreen. And you may be wondering, sunscreen? Yeah, baby. You're outside a lot. Most of the jobs require, to some degree, you be outside. You're walking up and down the hill, and you're on a freaking mountain. Like, seriously, on really hot days in the summer, it felt like you could reach out and just touch the stinking sun. I don't want you some sunscreen. Okay, so we're going to move along pretty quick here because I don't want this video to take forever. I'm going to go through the least interesting items first. So, more commissary staples. Here is your hydrocortisone cream. Again, Dollar Tree. In prison, this is like a $6, I think it was $6 for a tube of hydrocortisone cream. Do I have any notable allergies that require hydrocortisone cream or whatever? Absolutely not. Did I keep me a tube on hand in case I needed it or in some alternative way it became beneficial? Abso-stinkin-lutely. Another lovely gem. The famotidine tablets. I was unable to get my prescription acid reflux medication while incarcerated. And the Prilosec that they sold on commissary was, first off, insanely expensive. Like $10 a week is what you'd pretty much be spending on it. Second off, we realized at a certain point that a lot of the stuff we were buying off commissary, including the Prilosec, were actually expired. I mean, you still buy them because it's that or nothing, right? But they definitely did not work as well as Prilosec in the free world that is not expired and probably has a little better. Like, we probably got the rejects of the Prilosec factory that, just were placebo at best. So this famotidine, which is an acid reducer, I was taking lots of famotidine. Lots. The good old vitamin A and D ointment. Some of you put this on your baby's butts when they got diaper rash. This little baby right here, if you're a person who needs to grease your scalp, this is a great grease substitute. If you're a person who doesn't want your feet to look like your part crocodile, this will assist in that. Particularly, just like Vaseline, slap it on the feet at night with the socks after your shower. In the morning, things have softened up a bit. A lot of times, commissary would run out of chapstick. A&D ointment. You get dry skin, A&D ointment. You get a rash, A&D ointment. So this right here, this A&D ointment that I do not buy in the free world. That's how when I was going through my stuff, I'm like, did I get that at Dollar Tree? Like, why would I have gotten that? No, I brought it home from prison. God knows why. But because it was, significant to me in that part of my life. And of course, I'm sure I thought I would need it in the free world, which not so much. I'm saving the best for last, by the way. Oh, here's a fun thing. The prison I was at, crocheting was very, very popular. And one of the most common hustles, because a lot of the women in there didn't come for money. and didn't have family on the outside, weren't doing the pen pal hustle and finding suckers to keep their books lit, and may not have had family and friends with the resources to financially support them, right? So people would crochet things and sell them to other inmates as a hustle. This lovely gem, notice the symbol, right? I'm going to tell you what this is. In federal prison, we often say F-U-C-K. I don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. The feds, right? So a lot of people even have this symbol tattooed on them, or they'll have like an F and then a capital T and then another capital F backwards to make this symbol, or just this symbol, which is universally known in federal prison as F the Fed. So somebody was making and selling Christmas ornaments that people could buy and send home to their loved ones. And I got this exact one, but in the reverse colors, like this part, the green part's purple, purple part's green. And I kept one for myself to bring home to put on my Christmas tree every year because the Fed, right? And the other one I sent to my adult daughter for her Christmas tree. The crazy things we do. All right, we're all down to our last couple of things here. So this is going to be pretty quick, I promise. Oh, a prison chapstick. It was Palmer's Cocoa Butter. That was one of the few. Sometimes they get Carmex. There was another, I think, like generic one they would get in, like a Dollar Tree chapstick occasionally. But this was the Palmer's Cocoa Butter one, which Mama could actually use a little bit of right about now. Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I know my lips look chapped a lot, but really they're not usually. It's just, I don't know, something about the way they're naturally colored and shaped. Oh, smooth as a baby's butt. Love it. And this, just like the cocoa butter tub, because you can't always get the cocoa butter tub, this can, if you got a particularly rough spot on your foot, if you want to keep your eyebrows looking, train your eyebrows or keep them up, if you want to comb those baby hairs and do some stuff with them, and you need something other than like edge control because you can't get none for whatever reason at the time, maybe they're out of it, whatever. The Palmer's, lifesaver. You want to reduce the scarring you're going to have from the MRSA or from the bug bites or whatever. Best friend right here. So you could order on commissary a mug cup, and this what everyone made their coffee in. Some people made food in them, and it was this big clear plastic, really, really cheap mug, right? So again, crochet was very big in the prison I was at. So my first birthday in prison, my first birthday in prison, I had mentioned to a few people it was my birthday, right? And my birthday actually ended up being like not even a month after I originally came to prison. And of course, we're in the quarantine unit. It's depressing. It's drab, whatever. There was a person in there, and I ended up really not liking this person after a while, because their personality was just too much for me. Like it was too abrasive, too ignorant, too loud. But before I decided that I did not like them and eventually actually had words with them, this person decided they wanted to be friendly to me, which, and they paid somebody who crocheted, because again, crochet is the hustle, for this little gem. This little guy is like a koala. You see him? And how this works is you wrap him around your coffee cup, right? Like a cozy. And then you take another random string of yarn, kind of weave it through the back like a corset to tie him onto your coffee mug. And then your coffee mug is a koala. And let me tell you, being in prison, particularly the months in quarantine, you begin to feel a lot like Tom Hanks with that volleyball, Wilson, his friend that he talked to. And I ain't gonna lie to you, my little koala buddy here that was on my coffee mug for quite a while, I named him Wilson. And yes, we have had many, many, many long conversations when I was in prison. In fact, we almost had some inside jokes, but I'm not going to get too much into that because I don't want anyone trying to put a mental hygiene order on me. But you do what you got to do to get by, right? So 2 more things. We're done. The last one is one of my favorite things from prison. But anyway, this gem was my shower bag. You'll notice the nifty drawstring attachment, right? I mean, it's pretty high end. You know what I mean? Little thing right there. That was actually taken off of a bra bag, and it allowed me the incredible privilege of closing up my shower bag so you couldn't exactly see what was in it completely. And you certainly couldn't walk by if I happened to look away for 2 seconds and steal something out of it. And I tied it like this, right? The top really short, so I could easily like hang it on the hooks in my locker or, you know, in the shower. But initially the strap was pretty long and kind of like a crossbody, for lack of a better term, which, you know what? And if you look at it, I mean, the workmanship is not wonderful, amazing. But I'll be honest, it's a little cute little bag, and I keep it. And you know, when I got to prison, I noticed a lot of people had these shower bags because you need something, because there's no shelf or anything really to put your. Some of the showers did have like a little shelf, but most of them didn't, and it's a little tiny flimsy thing. And you don't want to put your stuff on the wet, nasty, stinky floor, right? So you need somewhere to put your stuff, your shampoo, your body wash, your razor, your deodorant, your whatever. Because you gotta get in the shower, get undressed in that same shower cubicle, take your shower, get dried off, and get dressed, all in this same little like bathroom stall size area. So you need somewhere to put your stuff, right? And you don't want to put it on the nasty floor. And you certainly can't carry all of your stuff while you're showering. So for a long time, I didn't want to get a shower bag because some of the COs were really particular about that was on the list of things you could have, you know. And I'm like, you know, I'm not going to pay another inmate $20, $25, $30, whatever, which of course would be less if you actually provided all the yarn for it. But to make me a shower bag when I can just take my stuff in, let it touch the nasty, skanky floor, whatever, I'll wash it and dry it on my way out. Every bottle, every time. Because I'm like, I'm not spending all that money to get a shower bag and then a CO takes it, right? But eventually I noticed that a lot of these particular rules, these very petty rules, yes, there are some COs that kind of just universally kind of hark on them. But for the most part, 95 at least percent of the time, if you're not a problem party, if you're not being a smart, you know what, if you're not throwing attitude at the COs, if you're not being inconvenient or annoying, if your relatives aren't calling in being inconvenient and annoying, if they don't have no problems out of you, and if you're quiet, especially, and if you kind of stay to yourself, which I was a very much, you know, to myself for the most part person while I was incarcerated, you know, and they have no reason to suspect you're doing anything you shouldn't, they don't really bother you. Like when our unit would get shut down, or, you know, or if my cube got searched, usually my things were nearly untouched, other than the hostage situation. But generally my things were barely even touched. Like they were opened, a couple things moved a little bit, and that was it. They left it. Because they, you know, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't being difficult. I wasn't being loud. I was just doing my time and getting the heck out of there. That was it. Boom, bam, period. And as a result, I didn't associate with people that were obnoxious or people that were trying to be sneaky or people that were, I didn't do any of that. So because of that, my shower bag would be on a hook on my cube, and COs never took it. They certainly never gave me a write-up for having it, but they never took it and threw it away. And I eventually correlated that, you know, there were certain things I could do that if you were a problematic inmate, you couldn't do without, you know, and get away with it. Because I you know, had established that I was the type of person that I was. So on to the final item of today's prison stuff episode. One of my favorites. When you're in prison, you're going to read a lot. Even people that have horrible comprehension, not great reading, speaking, or writing skills, end up reading a lot because you are bored out of your freaking skull and you're looking for some respite from that. So I decided one day that I would make myself a bookmark, right? A bookmark, something that would bring me joy. And this bookmark actually made its way to my bulletin board a few times, and it's double-sided. I'm going to share it with you guys. So the first side of my bookmark, and you notice it's laminated, right? Are you impressed? You should be, because this lamination project involved me smuggling this into my job at religious services and systematically, a few strips at a time, stealing Scotch tape to literally laminate it like I'm a 5th grader with stolen Scotch tape so it would be protected. But these pictures were the day before I self-surrendered to prison. Me and my son went to the mall. He didn't really understand what was happening, and he definitely had no idea that he wouldn't see me again for 16 months. But we went to the mall and we took some pictures in the photo booth. And these are those pictures. On the back side of this bookmark, I think I crossed out my daughter's name. Yeah, I did. And this was an email my daughter sent me on 5/8 of 22 at 10:51 a.m. And it was, this was my first Mother's Day in prison. And my daughter sent me this email, and I cried like a baby. Y'all know I get emotional. And I went down the hill, and I paid 5 cents to print it off, 5 cents a page to print off email, to cut it out, to keep it, so I could look at it a million times a day. And because my kids are my life. But anyway, I'll read it to you. This is an email from my adult daughter. It says, "Happy Mother's Day to the best mommy there ever was. Me and Mason," Mason's my son's name, "love you for life," with a whole bunch of E's. "You are the," I'll censor this, "effing goat. Believe that. Your day, here or not, forever." This bookmark, sometimes it would make its way on my bulletin board, one side or the other showing, depending on what I needed more mentally at the time. It obviously stayed in a book quite often. And then there were times where I just kept it on my person because it was both sides gave me a sense of connection to my son, my daughter. And I needed that. Oh, I needed that. But anyway, that's some of my prison stuff. This is part 2 of the prison stuff series. I don't know if there'll be a part 3, but, we'll see. Having said all that, my Cash App and PayPal will be in the description of the video if you would like to donate to the channel, as will my email if you need to contact me for any reason. I'm here if you're on this journey, or if you have a loved one on this journey, going to prison or maybe coming home soon or in prison, federal. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm fairly knowledgeable, and I like to be helpful where I can, and I don't charge people for that. What else? Oh, there'll be a link to the merch line in the description. And as you guys know, I'm working on my first book, Into the Fire, a memoir of the 16 months I served in federal prison and during the height of COVID, which was really an animal all in and of itself. And I really hope that that when I get that done, I'm hoping to have it done by the end of this year. I was shooting for this summer, but with me needing to move me and my son to a different home over the summer, I just don't see it even possible. But hopefully by the end of the year. And I'm really hoping that my book really, I feel like it's going to be profound because of the uniqueness of my story. But I think it's equally profound because of how common my story is. As crazy as that is, right? So anyway, whatever you're going through, remember it is a slice of your life. You will get through it because you have to. So good day. God bless. Until next time. See y'all later. FedPhoenix fam.